Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephanie Street, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Clinton Foundation. And it's just so good to see people in the Clinton Center. Oh my gosh, welcome back. And one of the greatest things when I came off the elevator and looked over here, is like, oh, volunteers. I get to see them in person. Oh my goodness. So we adore our Clinton Center volunteers, and having not been able to see them in person for a year and a half, it just warms my heart to be able to see you and say thank you, and we've missed you, and so excited to see you all here. Let's give a hand to our wonderful volunteers. I also want to take this opportunity to mention another special person who some of you may have met, some of you haven't, but she is a very important person at the Clinton Center, and she is our newest, although not too new anymore, our new manager of all of the events that take place here, Bridget Knox. Bridget is originally an Arkansan, had some big jobs in Dallas at the convention center. And so we were absolutely thrilled and delighted when she applied for this job. And of course, we knew hands down in the first 5 minutes that we wanted her to be here with us, running all of the events at the center. So we are thrilled, Bridget, to have you here. Thank you. Everyone loves this setup. I'm glad that it's been such a hit. This was Bridget's idea, and again, we're so excited for her leadership, and we're so excited, and I know Bridget is too, to get the show back on the road with our events. I also want to say a special thanks to our virtual visitors that have tuned in tonight. We've had some very loyal patrons that have tuned in over the last year and a half to see our programs. And we are going to continue to offer both virtual and in-person experiences for the foreseeable future, because we really want to build community and to encourage people to participate in our experiences, and whether that's in person or virtually, we're going to continue this. And let me also say thanks to Nate Thomas, who's here. Nate has been running all of our educational programs virtually over the last year and a half, and have really touched so many students and teachers and people, frankly, that we've never had the opportunity to reach because we've had this virtual component. So Nate, really thank you to you and to all the staff here. I'd like to say a special thanks to Debbie Schock, who's here. She is the person that really runs the place, and I am here, the one that does all the hello and welcomes. Debbie has kept this place in ship shape over the last year and a half as we've been closed, and we are really excited and really hopeful that just in the next few weeks, we are hoping that we'll be able to open back up fully. Stay tuned. We'll have all that information on our website and others. But again, it is just thrilling to see people, volunteers, and everyone here at the center. And again, thanks to all of you tuning in virtually. You're in for a really exciting program tonight. As you know, this program is our Bridge Builders series, conversations with interesting people, and we're so grateful to the Colson family and Colson Oil for being our sponsor. So tonight, we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here at the Clinton Presidential Center, and we are so pleased to be joined by Margarita Solorzano, who is the executive director and a founding member of the Hispanic Women's Organization of Arkansas, which was actually founded in 1999. The organization's mission is to advance educational opportunities for Hispanic women and their families, and to celebrate and teach others about Hispanic cultures, and to encourage participation in our community, which is so important now more than ever. We need people to come together and be engaged in the issues and being able to find common ground. So we're really, really appreciative for everything that the organization does. And they also host impactful events and offer many, many important programs, such as the RAD program, which stands for Reaching for the American Dream, which encourages civic engagement through naturalization efforts, voter registration, and by sharing election information. So critical. As executive director, Ms. Solorzano works tirelessly to make Arkansas a place where Hispanic people can thrive. Now, our conversation tonight will be moderated by the wonderful Jenna Francine. Ms. Francine is a reporter and anchor at KATV, one of our local news stations and best partners, and consistent, long-standing partners. So we're so grateful to you, Jenna, for being with us tonight as well. So again, welcome everybody. We've got two superb women here who are going to have a fantastic conversation. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you all again. So as you all just heard Ms. Stephanie say, Ms. Solorzano, you were born in Mexico and you transplanted to Northwest Arkansas. So why this area?
That I have to think about because I moved to the United States in 1990 with my two daughters, and we stay in California. Back then, my support system were my sisters, but they started growing up and getting married, so I need to find a way or a place where I were able to raise my daughters and be able to pay rent. So I like to say I closed my eyes and pointed at the map and I came to Arkansas, but it's not. I have a sister who is a truck driver, and back then she used to work for JB Hunt, and she mentioned Springdale as a good place to live, community-oriented, family-oriented, and affordable for a single mother with two kids. So I decided to move to Springdale, and I've been there since 1996.
So 1996 to now 2021, I'm sure a lot has changed. Do you think it's changed for the better when it comes to other families that want to move to the area, or do you think we have a long ways to go?
There is a lot of changes happening. There is always place or space for improvements. Certainly, there is not the same issues that we were facing in 1996, where the population was mainly white. Now, the diversity is growing. Springdale currently has 37% population Hispanic, but with the arrival of the Latino or Hispanic population, there are also open doors for other groups, because back then less than 2% of the population was other than white. Right now, we have a lot of more African Americans, we have Indian, we have you name it. And also Springdale is the home of the largest Marshallese community outside of the Marshall Islands. So it's becoming more diverse, it's becoming more prosperous, it's becoming more accepting, but it's still it's work in progress.
So we all know it's Hispanic Heritage Month. So with that being said, how do you keep your heritage while also being inclusive with society? Do you feel the two coincide?
Certainly. And how we celebrate our heritage every day. And when we talk about Hispanic culture, it's not one culture. We are a mosaic of cultures, because the Spanish language is spoken in more than 20 countries. And plus the Puerto Rico, and now the United States, which is I believe, the second language spoken in the United States. So it is becoming more diverse, not just diversity in regards of the country we came from, but also where we grow up or where it is here in the United States. Arkansas is attracting people, not just people from other countries, but other states. Relocating for people from California. Probably you don't remember this, but the Proposition 287 from Governor Pete Wilson made people leave California, and many people came to Arkansas. So, and then the affordability and the quality of life. There's a lot of people from other states like New York, Chicago, Texas, Arizona. So there's a lot of more than a culture. How we define Hispanic. It's this group of different cultures, different people coming to live in the state, and now it's becoming home. This is our home now, and we are where we find opportunities, where we find a place to stay, but where we also contributing with our work, with our talents, and now it's becoming more diverse. And now it is not just Hispanic, because now there is a lot of more interracial marriages. There is a lot of more. It's creating a new group of people. Maybe the cosmopolitan area now is the cosmic race that it was mentioned in by the. And I don't remember the author of this, Vasconcelos, that he created the cosmic race that where people from all over the world someday will create just one race.
And you just mentioned a lot of inclusivity when it comes to celebrating. So what can people who aren't a member of the Hispanic community do to celebrate with you during this time? And obviously it's not just this month. You would want to feel inclusivity and celebration of who you are as a woman any month.
Over the years, we have been people attitudes changing. And yes, we went from maybe rejection, maybe hate, but now, especially in Northwest Arkansas, there's a lot of work being done, not just by organizations like the Hispanic Women's Organization, but also other people. Now the corporations, now the government are realizing the need for offering more services, more opportunities to Latinos. And the younger generations are also growing here. With the Hispanic Women's Organization, we started in 1999, but one of the main things was to provide educational opportunities for Hispanic students, because again, at the beginning, people may thought that we were just poultry workers, but we have more than that. And only educating our community, we are able to change that. So it is not Margarita Solorzano representing the organization. We are, or the Latino community. We have now grown new leaders, new professionals that they are continuing their legacy, but also identifying with younger generations. So it's not one person yelling at the top of their lungs that we need changes. There's a lot of more people ready to continue the work, but also not continue just the work of the organization, but continue the work in the community where there is more inclusiveness, there is more people educated, and more people in places where decisions are made. Still, we have a long way to go. In Northwest Arkansas, we have 2 city council members, one in Bentonville, one in Springdale. In Springdale, in 2020, Kevin Flores was the first elected city council member. And we have the first Latino also member of the school board. So things are changing, but there's our people in the decision making, but we have a lot of people now, teachers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, you name it. The population is growing because we feel the need that there is to address the issues or the needs of the population, there has to be people who understands the culture, who understands the language, and can identify the issues that we face. So it's not just someone who speaks Spanish, but it's someone who understands the culture.
And do you feel like the younger generation is speaking up as far as understanding the strides that you and other women have kind of paved the way? Do you feel like they understand the footwork that it took to get to this point?
Certainly, because as I mentioned, now, or since we started the organization, we have provided close to 600 scholarships, and those students are all over the place. So we feel that they appreciate our assistance, and many of the comments that we receive, especially from the very first generations of recipients, they said, I appreciate the money that you put on my education. I appreciate more the fact that you believe in me, that you believe in my potential, and that you were able to encourage me to continue. Because back then, even getting into school, it was not enough, because many were dropping out of the school because they didn't feel welcome. It was more difficult, and we always were behind them. You need to register. You need to talk to your counselor. You need to talk to an advisor, because I know how difficult it was. For me, it was difficult. I didn't mention that when I moved to the United States and even to Arkansas, I didn't speak English. I didn't know how to use a computer. It was a lot of new things that were new for me, and there were so many issues that I need to address sometimes, and I felt so frustrated. And even when I used an interpreter, um, I started going to school and I understood some, but sometimes the user interpreters, even though they do their best, sometimes it was not what I was saying. It was not the emotion that I wanted to put into those conversations. It was not the rage or the fear that I was feeling, and those things are more difficult to interpret when you are dealing with issues, especially issues that are tied to your kids. In my case, I have a lot of interesting conversations with the school district because of the issues that were happening. And yes, the interpreter were interpreting words, but my emotions or the word that I wanted to use was not the word that the interpreter was using. So I had to put myself in situations that I went to school. I went to the ESL classes, then I continued into the community college, and I got an associate degree from there. And then I moved to the University of Arkansas. It's still not finished, but I plan to do it in the future. So talking about, thank you. Talking about there is the services. No, there is a lot of more things to do, and for me, it's encouraging women, especially, to find their voice. And even though we may not speak English perfectly, we make our ideas or our issues be known with our own voice. And that is important for me. And that is important for us to assist many women who come with issues to our office. Yes, we assist them, but we encourage them to speak for themselves, to speak for their kids, because there is no other way that things are changed if we are expecting someone else to fix our issues.
And you talked about the education, so providing the scholarships, but when it comes to resources to succeed in those areas, are there enough resources? What can we do to have more resources accessible so that you not only receive the scholarship, but you go through the 4 years of school and then you get that job that you want?
In this case, it is not just money. It is what is happening in our communities. So we we make sure that we open the door or we pave the way for people to enter either in the school or the workforce. But for this, it needs to be a collaboration. It needs to be other people invested in the idea that Latinos have the potential, have the capacity to acquire degrees, and also to be at the forefront of any agency. Uh, for this, I have been working with the educational institutions in our area, addressing the issues of what it will take for them to provide better environment for Latinos or immigrant students to feel welcome in their institutions. So I have been advising on advisory capacity with the chancellors at the university about diversity. I have been advisor at the Northwest Arkansas Community College, at NTI, with the adult education centers. So I spend a lot of times not just advocating or doing things to assist Latinos, but helping the other institutions better understand what are the needs, what it takes for actually have a student register or enroll in classes, but also keeping them and helping them graduate. Uh, I have seen so many changes in our community. The institutions are now more aware that they need to change in order to serve the community, the demographics that they represent. So for that, it's not one person work. It is a community, and there is the understanding that there is for the benefit of everybody, because we are working, we are contributing, but we are also making sure that the benefits impact everybody in our communities. We have better infrastructure, we have better education system, but now it's not just to benefit one group, it's to benefit everybody.
And you talked about getting more people involved. So we actually had an audience question. How do we engage our Hispanic population to get more people involved when it comes to voter registration, the political process, even increasing voter turnout?
The first thing is, if you are not a U.S. citizen, you need to become a citizen. And with the RAD program, which is the Reaching for the American Dream, we started that program in 2004 because, again, it was a smaller population, but I noticed that we didn't have a lot of people going to the polls to vote, and so I started doing voter registration, but then I find out that very few people were a U.S. citizen, and that doesn't mean that they were illegally here or undocumented. It was at different stages in the immigration process that required a little more attention and more, probably more interest in people of becoming U.S. citizens. And I went to the University of Arkansas to ask them to see what they could offer to have more immigration lawyers, because I was seeing people with TPS, back then NACARA, temporary visas, or legal permanent residence, that they needed a little more support to become U.S. citizens. And also changing the state of mind of the people, because sometimes people were saying, oh, I'm here to work, make money, and go back to my country because my family is there. But the immigration was changing, and also the situations at the border were different before. So people start staying more in this country, and instead of going back, they were bringing their families. So we also were encouraging them to buy their homes instead of renting, and to obtain their citizenship. And And I just laugh sometimes at the people who were telling me back then, oh, I'm just going to be here for a little while and make money and go and build my home there. It's been 20 something years and they still here. Uh, and many of them have become citizens. Many of them are homeowners. So again, it is they putting roots in this land. And now their kids are married here, they have children, or they are going to school. And for me also, probably when I moved to Arkansas and I saw what it was back then, I had the idea to go back to California. However, I didn't have the money. And I promised my daughters, whenever we raise enough money, we will go back. Um, it took me several years to raise enough money to for transportation, but back then they say, "Mom, don't worry, we are here and we are finding our way and we want to stay." So we decided to stay, and at the end, it is for the best because whenever we find a lot of different issues, different situations that we wish to be another place, but at the end, any place we go, we need to start all over again. And here we were already um, finding our way and getting information, having our support system, and especially my daughters were researching how to go to school and building um, their own paths on what they wanted to do. So we decided to stay. And, and I know the work I do, probably I neglected them a lot. And I appreciate them being so understanding and so patient with me because I had to go to school. I had to be involved in a lot of things, and they um, for me was trying to find information how they can go to college. Usually they were ahead of me and say, "Mom, I already know that. Mom, I already filed my paperwork." I say, "Oh, I'm just finding out," but I'm so glad that they were always ahead trying to find that information and making sure that uh, wherever they were doing, it was for them to build their own path. Because at the end, we're just helping them, moving them in the hopefully in the right directions, but they have to take control of their own lives at the end.
Absolutely. So we briefly spoke about voting and just your personal opinion on this next question. So when it comes to hesitancy on voting, I hear different things. Well, the only people on the ballot don't understand our struggle, or we're not even seen as humans here. We're not even seen as Americans here. Why vote for the American process if we're not even recognized as a part of it? What do you say to those who are hesitant about voting?
That is a very important aspect of living here. There is a responsibility if you have the right. If you are allowed to do this, exercise that right because it's the only way that we are going to change things. And there is the only way that we can expand opportunities for others. And yes, we still have a long way to go in regards of civic participation, but I see, especially in the younger generations and many of the students that we have assisted with the scholarships, I see them more um, politically engaged. And several of them either are thinking about running for office, but several of them are working on campaigns. And maybe they don't feel yet to the point of running for office themselves, but I have seen some of them running the campaigns. For example, Megan Goffrey The person who ran her campaign was one of our students, or I have worked with that family for a long time, and she was able to run a successful campaign. So we have people, several students attending the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute, which gives them opportunity to actually be in the middle of the politics in Washington, and coming back to our communities and bring information how they can better uh, run for political positions, but also how to encourage more people to get registered and vote. So it is a ripple effect per se, that we are helping them achieve their goals, but they are helping others. So it is what we need to do, and that probably not everybody has the capacity to vote because they are still not there, either because of the legal status or they are in the process, but getting more information in having this opportunity given to them, sometimes they need someone else, even if it's not a US citizen, helping them understand, sometimes because of the language, or sometimes because of the politics that is, um, that we come from countries that sometimes politics is run by just few people, and it doesn't matter the way we vote. We already know ahead of time who's going to be in the positions. So now with these younger generations and more people involved, they are helping others either by interpreting at the voting sites, or passing information, or just taking them to the polling places. So that is how we can encourage more. And yes, we may not be a strong voting bloc at this time, but it is coming. And I see more people involved, and I see not just the Latinos, but other people looking at the importance of the Latino participation here. The census numbers were so important right now, and we are looking right now at the redistricting, and how it's going to affect the minority or interest groups participation in the future. So uh, in my capacity, I have my limitations. But I see a lot of other people now taking over and taking our work um, ahead, because now they are more familiar with the politics, more familiar with the institutions, and more familiar with the system. So they are helping others, and they are voting themselves, because over the past 30 years that the Latino population has been changing in Arkansas. So it means that we have a lot of more young people born and raised in Arkansas. In having these interactions with not just with Latinos, but with the community, they are growing into more diverse groups. So there's not just relying on the Latino vote, it's relying on the community vote to make sure that elected officials that better represent the interests of the diverse community are elected.
Okay. So we have another audience member question. They say, I'm a Latino living in this country for 41 years. I'd like to know, what strategy did you use that helped you the most when you were discriminated against in the workplace, in public, or speaking on the telephone for being different in Arkansas? Kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. And as I mentioned, I didn't speak English at the beginning, and sometimes for me, laugh, but using sarcasm in a way, because even when I was answering the phone back then, and some people, just to we used to have conversations, and then they asked me my name, probably 15 minutes into the conversation, and when I say my name, suddenly they say, I don't understand you. So they block themselves just by hearing my name when we have been on the phone for um, several minutes. And and then say, so where are you from? And I don't understand your accent. And I just say, okay, we have different accents, especially living in Arkansas, people have a strong accent. So yes, we both have different accents, but we still speak English. So don't worry, what is your issue or how can I help you? So just making, I'm not say fun of it, but taking it light in a way that uh, not to stop the conversation, but how we can carry out in the conversation, even addressing her issues and my issues, and coming to the understanding that wherever she was calling for, it was something that maybe will benefit our community.
Did you find yourself always being that person to try to be understood instead of that being reciprocated? Because confusion can be on both ends, you know?
Uh, these situations happen all the time. And again, it is trying to figure out ways how we can continue. And that is probably the most important thing because, yes, I could feel offended for not being understood, or just hang up because sometimes the person or the people on the other side were offensive when I say my name, but it will end the conversation there or the interaction there. And instead we say, okay, can we speak slowly, or can you explain in a different way? So it's just a matter of finding ways to continue because it is not easy. And and most of the people are willing to work with you and to figure out ways to come our point across and have a solution. And yes, we have people who were just negative, and sometimes we try our best, but if we feel that there is not gonna make a difference in that person perception or opinion, so we need to keep moving on. We don't want, or I don't have to waste all the time trying to convince someone that it's okay when that person is close to to listen. So there is just keep moving on and find the people who really want to work with you, and they are looking for a better way to make our community better.
Do you think the general population of Arkansas understands what it takes to be Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and actually thrive in the state and in the country, considering challenges that you might face on an everyday basis? Do you think they understand to where?
No, no, you have to live it. You have to be in our shoes. You have to be in our. You have lived the situations that we live in order to understand. They may have an idea what it is, but just being seen different because of the color of your skin or the accent that you speak with or the neighborhood where you live. Uh, Probably only the person living those situations really understand what it takes. And even though the at the beginning it was uh, a lot of probably desconfianza, how would say, a lot of mistrust and people of different culture, different color coming to the neighborhoods in Springdale. Uh, it was difficult, and they were trying to have a colony just for Latinos to live in, or and but but people started working, starting making, uh, finding their homes, and now at the beginning was only one section where usually people say all the Latinos live in the east side of Springdale. Now we live all over the place. So there is a lot of more opportunities and more interest from the local governments and the corporation on in having a community that there is more diverse and there is more opportunities, but also where people feel more welcome. So there is a lot of different groups actually working to make Arkansas a better place for everybody.
And that was going to be my next question. What can be done to bridge that gap so there's more communication and understanding instead of letting communication be a barrier when it comes to an accent?
Again, having our younger generations educated, for them to be sitting at the table where decisions are made, where working in places where they need to better understand the Latino culture to provide better services, but also our employers, our corporations to be aware that there is not for them just providing a good place to work from 8 to 5 or wherever hours are there, but after from 5 to 8, how the people live in their communities, how they, not just the worker feels welcome in the workplace, but how the families live or how the families feel welcome in the community. And that is important that these corporations have the responsibility to address the needs of their employees, but also address the needs of their families in their communities, because it is not just feeling well or welcome in the workplace, but going out, how they feel when going to a restaurant, when walking on the street, and I can tell when I was at the university in one of my diversity classes, sometimes the exercises we made that the people say, "Oh, I feel so good about going to eat in a Mexican restaurant, but I hate seeing Mexicans walking on the streets." So that is not just yes, I enjoy Mexican food, but actually seeing the people preparing that food, walking or sharing a space at the movie theater or at the park, there is those changes. There understanding that needs to be happening, and it's happening now, or with the younger generations, because they have grown up going to school with the people with the diverse groups. So that is what is important. And now in Northwest Arkansas, there is a lot of more efforts from the corporations, from the foundations to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm on the advisory board on that group as well. And for that, they can tell you that I when I started, I said, "What are you inviting me? Are you inviting me just to endorse whatever slogan you are coming up with and say that you are doing the best for the community? Probably I'm not the person that you need here, because I'm going to say things that you may not want to hear and say. That's why we invited you, because we don't want people just to say yes, yes, because what we represent. We want people to actually tell us what we need to do to make our community a better place. And I'm still there, and soon there is going to be a report about this work that it's been 3 years now. And for us, as I mentioned, I can say that things are changing in Northwest Arkansas and probably across the state, there's things happening. We need to accelerate that work. We need to put more effort in making more inclusive, not just Northwest Arkansas, but we need to expand in other places. And, and probably these attitudes or these efforts to make changes is also seeing how Northwest Arkansas is usually cited as one of the best places to live, and is gaining population, and not just Latinos, but more diverse populations, while other parts of the Arkansas are losing population. And also because what we represent in order to keep the economy and for the state to be able to attract and retain corporations, factories, we need the labor force. And currently, the Latino population are the ones actually having kids. The Anglo population is declining, and the number of kids the Anglos are having is also in decline. So in order to keep a healthy economy and a state that is able to provide for everybody, we need people, and either immigrants or either born but Latinos or the immigrants are the people actually continue increasing the population in the state. And probably there is something that needs to be addressed, that Latinos need the same services and they need the same treatment as everybody, because we represent the future of the healthy economy in the state.
And that segues into our next audience member question. What do you believe most significantly holds women back from more fully participating in the workforce?
And this, my first question is, who defines that? Who defines how we are holding that? Because pretty much the women are participants in the workforce, either as a worker themselves or providing other essential services like the child care, like the keeping the families together. And currently we have a lot of more Latina growth going into higher education as well, but also is the support system. And what keep us from thriving, we first need to define who defines what is success and what is success according to whom. Because in the families we serve, for example, I can see a person working on the production line, maybe in the poultry industry, but they feel successful because thanks to that work, now they are sending their kids to the university. Now they see their kids traveling to foreign countries to get internships or to get that foreign experience, the study abroad. So for a person just working at the poultry plant, for some people may perceive that it's not a success, but for that mother, and that is her mission, to make sure that she's working hard so her kids have a better future. And that is one example, but there is so many others. So again, we are younger community. The vast majority, the Latinos, are between the ages 18 and 45. So they are in their productive years. So again, it is contributing and making sure not just that the immigrants are working hard, but also they're giving opportunities for the younger generations to have a better future. And we are talking about And the type of industry that is available in the state of Arkansas. Many of the jobs available are in the poultry industry. But we also have in other corporations that we have a huge, I'm not saying gap, a huge spectrum of people providing essential services in working on the production lines, but we have executives at these corporations. We have vice presidents, or we have managers of all levels. So as a younger community, we're still in the process of fully integrating, but we have people in positions of power, or people in positions where they are having the difference, making the difference. And we have different situations where they are maybe the only one, but that person is opening doors, and sometimes opening windows, because it doesn't matter the way that we can enter into a decision room. We need to be there. And for me, sometimes even with my limited English, I used to be in meetings, either invited or not invited, but I knew that there was something going on, and I had to be there. They need to see me, that there is not just decisions for the white population. There is the decisions that may impact the diverse population that the Northwest Arkansas is becoming.
And with your mission, which the HWOA, when it talks about the advancement for all Hispanic people, everyone's like, what can we do to help with this mission? What can we do to help propel the Hispanic community? What's that answer? What can people do to help?
There's a lot of things to be done, especially first assisting other people to get prepared for citizenship. For example, sometimes in our program we have a mentor-mentee program with someone learning English, partner with someone learning Spanish. So there is a collaboration, helping each other, but also donating for the scholarships, or donating, or making sure that when you hear someone say something negative about other culture, you speak up. And yes, it's not affecting you, but it's affecting your surroundings, and it's affecting how the people feel in your communities. And I have a situation in early on, probably in the early 2000s. We have a community assessment going on, and we had probably 50 people in the room, and they were talking about the issues of transportation, childcare, the quality of life, and everybody was giving an opinion. And when I said, in the Latino community, we are seeing this, and someone in the room say, that is your problem. You need to fix it. And I said, we are part of the community. But the issue there was not the statement of this person. It was that everybody in the room kept quiet. Nobody say anything. And even though this person was attacking me personally, everybody kept quiet. At the end of the meeting, people came and say, "Oh, we don't think that way. We don't say those things." Say, but you didn't say anything there when you needed to speak. So I appreciate you telling me, but next time, make sure you actually speak, so there is not situations like this. So yes, when you see something, say something, because it is not just affecting me as a Latino, it's affecting how we trust each other in the community.
So as we conclude this wonderful conversation, this Bridge Builders program, what's your call to action to the viewers at home, to us in this room?
Okay, stay alive. Get the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. and make sure that you wear your face mask so we protect each other.
Well, thank you again for this great conversation.
What a terrific conversation. What a terrific way for us at the Clinton Center to be able to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. I also want to, before we leave, give another shout out to two other colleagues. Well, now he's gone again. There's Ben. Want to say a shout out to Ben Tillmeyer, who manages so many things here at the center, our exhibits, lots of programming, other things, our communications, and Ben does a great job. And shout out to Ben. And here in the front row, Callista Ross, who is our development manager and has information about ways you could be involved at the Clinton Center. Become a member today. So thanks to the team. It's been a tough year and a half during COVID. But as I said at the beginning, we're so excited to welcome you all back in person. We're thrilled to have people joining us virtually, and we look forward to continuing both ways of communicating with you and sharing our experiences. And so I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you. And stay tuned for an announcement in hopefully the near future about us opening back up again. We're feeling good about it coming soon. Thank you.